Cool. So, I think I'm okay now. I think I've gotten it together a little bit.
All right.
Ready for the main topic now. The main topic for today is looks versus brains.
Indeed.
I guess the better way of putting it is beauty versus brains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beauty versus brains. Beauty and the Beast.
And let's go ahead and just like maybe make our stances. Would you like to do that?
Sure.
Okay, you start.
All right. So I think that there's a couple different ways to obviously like talk about it. The first way that comes to mind is like, what are you more attracted to, or what is more important in like a partner, right? That's like a fun way to start off.
Okay, let's start there.
I'm going to pick first.
Okay.
Obviously, guys, like no one wants a beautiful person that's stupid.
All right.
And no one wants a smart person that's ugly.
Not cute.
They go hand in hand. Like, but if I had to say like what matters more, I don't say what matters more. What am I more attracted to? Like, you're obviously more attracted to beauty, first of all. Like, that's the first thing you see.
Yep.
Brains is something that you don't always see immediately. And I think that brains is kind of subjective in a way. I think that a lot of times we think of brains in the most conventional way, but there's so many different levels and aspects to like what brains means.
Yeah. I love that you're going to try and do it that way, but obviously that's the cop-out ass way. If I presented two people in front of you today, obviously the one that's more attractive to you before they open their mouth is who you're going to like yield towards. Like, obviously, I think anybody in the world, that's how it is.
Yeah.
So let's remove that. Let's say you've known said person for 24 hours and you've heard them speak, you've gotten a good gauge of, their intelligence level, whatever.
Yeah.
Now tell me what you would choose.
I think that the way that I would choose, let me say, is not even so much what I would prefer, is what I would not be able to stand.
Yeah.
And I think what I would not be able to stand is definitely someone that's like, I don't want to say dumb because I don't insult.
Yeah.
But someone that like, I feel can't keep up.
Yeah.
On that length. Like, I feel like once I feel like I'm superior to you, like brains wise, like I'm going to naturally lose a level of respect for you and all those types of things. So I think that, of course, like brains is important because we have to have a conversation. Beauty is like not long. Let me not say not long lasting, but like it changes, right?
Yeah.
So the way you look is going to change.
Yeah.
Even the way you think can change, but like for the most part, your like brain capacity, brain speed, whatever you want to call it, like that's more relevant to me because those are the things that like I expect to be there long term. Okay,
there you go. I forced you to make a right answer because obviously, like, if you guys allow me to be a little bit like vain for a second, I will rather have like a 7 that's a super smart than a 10 that's fucking dumb. Maybe 7 is even too generous. Many would say I'm a 7. I'm just joking. But like, let's say like I would rather have like a 5. I hate that I'm doing the whole number thing. I think we're past that in society, but I told you guys, allow me to be a little bit vain. I don't know if you saw, like,
actually, this is not really the place for it, but Bobby Shmurda came home. We didn't even mention that.
Oh my God, true.
And there was a whole conversation around the fact that, like, the girls he was with were apparently not attractive. I didn't say that. That's what people said. So people on the internet, like, there was a lot of talk about, he came home to some 4s and blah, blah, blah. And,
again, we're past that. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to, like, perpetuate that ugly way of measuring people. But if you allow me for a second, I'm sorry. I would definitely choose brains over beauty, especially because beauty is very subjective anyway. So in the sense that beauty, I guess, is in the eye of the beholder, excuse me. So if somebody is super intelligent, but I wasn't immediately attracted to them, or I didn't find them to be the most attractive, I can definitely find myself now thinking they're more attractive just by conversing with them, like the banter.
But that's to me, that's the
like,
part I
start looking at you look a little bit
That's
different.
the part I disagree with. Like, I agree with the sense of, like, in a perfect world, like, yes, we can pick the brains. But to me, it doesn't matter how smart you are. Like, that's not going to make you more.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, if like, again, we're not going back to initial looks.
Of course.
We're saying after like some time has passed or whatever. I'm saying like maybe I didn't initially find you to be the most attractive person, but after talking to you and spending time with you or whatever, and picking your brain and realizing, wow, this person is really smart, they can keep up, blah blah blah, then I start looking at, okay, he kind of is cute, like, okay, like I can see like he's not that bad, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
like
funny.
I can see that.
I see what you're saying, but I think for me it's actually the opposite, in the sense that like I can see myself being with someone that maybe initially I don't think is like so smart, but then the more I get to know them, I can see how, because I really think that
what value they bring.
Yes, I really think that smartness is, there's so many different ways to be smart. Like there's people that are like book smart, right? There's people that are like they can solve math equations. There's people that are more creative based. So I think everyone, to me anyway, has something that they're really smart in, like some way that they're smart. So I almost feel like I can kind of find...
broad about it? Are we saying like brains in any realm? Like you're like a creative genius, or like you're Einstein, whatever? Or are we being very, black and white about it? Like the traditional way of looking at intelligence?
I'm thinking of the traditional way.
Okay.
But I also think that because there's other ways, I can kind of compensate for myself. I can kind of look at that and be like, okay, like maybe you're kind of dumb, but like, yo, you're really good at this one. I don't know. I think I know what I'm doing is not black and white, because it's impossible to be black and white.
You're being me right now.
But I feel like for beauty to me is a lot more black and white than brains, which is why the beauty part is kind of like,
no, because like, for instance, it's so funny. I was talking about this like the other day with my brother, how you don't think Lori Harvey is all of that in a bag of chips, and he's like, how is he not saying that she's like everything? So I'm like, I think when it comes to beauty, it isn't that black and white, because there's some people that I'm like, okay, I guess they are traditionally beautiful to everybody else, but I don't get it. Much like you with Lori Harvey. Like, I don't think you're saying she's not attractive. You're just like, she's not like the most like attractive person to you. Over there, yeah, for you. Yeah. But other people, they're like, there's nothing better.
No, of course. But what I mean by like more black and white is like, for me, if I look at someone, it's easy for me to be like attractive, unattractive.
Okay.
Of course, there's a middle ground. There's no such thing as black and white.
Okay.
But like the unattractive person, it's going to be hard for them to become attractive based on anything that they do. Like, I might like them as a person. Yeah. But if you have a weird face, your face is going to be weird.
Okay. Again, y'all keep forgiving me here, because I'm going to continue using these like numbers or whatever, like numerical values. But let's say, I'm not saying the person's going to jump from like a 5 to a 10, but I'm saying like you could get a point. The more I use this numerical standards, so like, you can like, it's like, okay, maybe you have a weird face that's like, but it's just asymmetric and of course, cute. I think that
by being around people, you find new things about them, even in the way that they look. So you can find things that are more attractive than you initially thought. And sometimes I think you get used to people. Like, I think that you can see someone, like, there are people that, like, let's say, the people that like I knew like in college that I never looked at twice, but then post college, like they're allowed to glow up, and I'm like, oh damn, like this is the same girl. Like I never even thought about her. Like, oh my god, I should have been looking at her since. Like I missed out. So like that can happen. Yeah. But it's not so like, to me, I look at that more as like, I just didn't look, versus like they really became. Like, you're not jumping from what you are, what you look like, and what you look like. Okay. You can become more attractive in different ways, but. And also, when I think of beauty, like, I'm thinking of like your face. So it's like your face is not changing. Like,
but I think you kind of did make the point here, like how like 2 years ago maybe you didn't think the person was that attractive, and then you look a little closer, and you're like, oh shit, I kind of missed that. Yeah. It's like, I think that could happen in any scenario. Like, I don't think it's very exclusive to like a glow up. It could just be like, it could be something else. Maybe they didn't like change the way they really look, but like something else that they brought forth.
Of course, yeah. Surgery. I mean, there's so many ways.
I was even thinking much less extreme, like something about the way they speak. Funny. It's like, oh, their voice is kind of sexy, like whatever.
The way they speak is not going to be what's going to make them more attractive. Like, stop all these
No. Genuinely, maybe I'm crazy. You are. Fine. But I know there's girls out there who agree with me. Like, voice is big to me. So like, let's say like on paper you look really cute, but then you open your mouth and you have a really nasally high, like squeaky voice, really effeminate.
I'm starting to
voice,
get offended
like though. I'm not saying that you do, and I don't think you do.
Okay.
For the record, I don't think you do. But yeah, there are certain voices that turn me off genuinely, and there's some that I'm like, his voice is so sexy, and it makes me more attracted. Like I genuinely am attracted to voices.
I mean, voices.
I don't know
matter.
about
I'm
other
not saying
people,
they don't matter, but I guess I'm just saying like. On my scale, on my list.
On your list, it's not. Like, yeah, it's not that.
All girls have annoying voices.
Damn.
It's like, no, I'm just joking. I have been told I have like a feminine voice,
which I disagree with. You told me that before.
Yeah, the first time I was told that, I was like, what? My whole world was rocked. Oh. You know, the worst thing is like when someone tells you something about yourself,
that
you
never
like,
knew.
Huh? I was like, yo, my voice has been too deep. We've
all been there. We all find out about ourselves later in life sometimes.
But the other component, I think, of the beauty versus brains conversation is not just about individual, like what we would do, but also society.
Yeah, society.
Right? Because I think society has very, very specific views about beauty in brains. And I'll ask you first, like, which do you think society values more?
I think beauty. And I think, again, it goes back to what you had mentioned earlier in the sense that initially when you look at somebody, the first thing you're taking in is their looks.
Yeah.
So you make a lot of assessments and judgments based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think people who are not that intelligent but look really good, some people give them a few more points, think they are a little bit more intelligent than they are. Or, like, if we're not even using beauty, like, but just physical attributes, period, there's a reason why they say, like, I don't know, 90% of American presidents have been tall guys, like over 6 foot. Like stuff like that. Like certain physical attributes make you make certain assumptions or conclusions about somebody.
Yeah. I think I agree. I agree with you that society definitely overvalues beauty, right? Like I think it's depending on what your opinion is, right? Yeah. You might feel like one is more important than the other. But I think that what society is guilty of is definitely overvaluing beauty because like you said, why should the presidents of the United States be a certain height? Like, I know Americans are generally tall compared to the rest of the world anyway, but that's still a crazy, like, if it's 80%,
still above average,
like, it's like, why does the president have to be above average height? Like, literally, the most useless thing in terms of what a president is. Like, I know somebody would say, like, oh, they represent.
It's like, about the power, the dominance that they represent, blah, blah, blah. But like we just meant, like you're kind of alluding to, it doesn't really matter. Yeah,
the things that we're attributing to height unnecessarily or like to looks unnecessarily because on the list of things that matter, those are not the things that should be there. Or like the way how tall you are or how good looking you are. Because that's another thing that affects like presidency and stuff like that. It's like, there's some people that are running for president. They're like, I straight up knew, like, you're never going to be president. You're ugly. You can never be president. Like, no one is voting for you.
Yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of people get more opportunities. Like definitely. If we're equally yoked in every way, and the only difference is, like, you're more conventionally attractive, you're more likely to get that gig, like, get the spot on the television show or get the job at whatever, company. Like, it's just attraction is a metric that a lot of people don't realize they buy into. Of course. Heavily.
I mean, it's huge. I think that, like you said, people don't realize how much they buy into it. But even like in the workplace, stuff like that, because if you go for an interview, they're going to see you. Yeah. Even if they don't see you, like you just mentioned how voice matters to some people. Like, you can judge people based on their voice. So now you've thrown in another thing that like is beauty related or like unrelated to the job. Yeah. Like your job is to type. Yeah. Why does it matter what the person looks like? Like you should almost do these interviews like blind. Yeah. Like, right? Like so much things we need to try to remove beauty from the equation because naturally as people, we see it and it's hard for us to like discount what we've already seen. Yeah. Like if I see two people, I'm going to be more tolerant of the more beautiful person.
They get way more passes in life.
I'm going to be like, oh, she's just haha. She's just like, she's going to be funnier even though she's not funny.
She's not funny. Like we've all been there. Like we laugh a little harder at the cute person's joke than you would if it wasn't
like it's crazy how much like it affects us. But it's a thing. And society definitely overvalues beauty. And I don't know if brains are undervalued, but I think that it is becoming more of a thing. Where it is becoming more undervalued because there's less like you're less special for being intelligent. Like you have to be super intelligent. Like you have to be like 1% before your intelligence means anything. But it's like mad people that are like you could be highest 10% and no one is gonna care. It's gonna be like, oh, good for you. Yeah. Who cares? Like you're not rich. not the only other way. Like, you have to like have the money to compensate
yeah.
or like to show how intelligent you are. Where it's like, oh, like you made a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
see,
you must
going
be
off of that point, I feel like with intelligence, like you need a lot more to compensate for lack, or yeah, you need a lot more to compensate for the lack of intelligence than you do for the lack of looks. Like, that's maybe not the best way to word it. I guess what I mean is like somebody who's really attractive, they don't have to compensate as much in other areas. Whereas somebody who's really intelligent, if they aren't that attractive, they do need to compensate in other areas in order to be looked at equally to the person who is very attractive. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Like basically what you're saying is if you're really, really good looking versus if you're really, really intelligent, the really, really intelligent person still has to do more to be looked at at the same level by society.
There we go.
Because they're not like, again, it kind of comes down to intrinsically, intelligence doesn't jump off the page. Doesn't, like, you don't exude. Some people do, but like people don't read it as easily, like how intelligent you are, right? Because there's a lot of like super intelligent people walking around, but people don't really know that they're intelligent.
They're so smart.
Like, even like so many people that we know that like the people that like and I just never thought about like, oh, is this person smart? Like, but you've
probably thought about if they're attractive or not.
Oh, you don't even think about it. You just know. You just know like, this person is ugly, this person is attractive, this person is somewhere in between. Like, you
/ when we describe people, typically you will, like, let's say I've never met somebody, you're trying to describe them to me, you'll use certain physical features for obvious reasons before you even talk about their intelligence levels, how smart they are and whatnot. Obviously that's not the same for everybody, but typically that's how it is. So now, given what we've just discussed, would you say you personally would prefer to be seen as attractive or prefer to be seen as intelligent?
I think that for me personally, I would prefer. It's two answers because I'm gonna cheat. I think I would prefer to be seen as intelligent because I grew up in a family where that was always the more like relevant thing. Yeah. Like, looks were never really, I don't know, like
highlighted.
No, exactly. Looks were never highlighted. It was never like, oh, you look the best. Not even like fashion wise, not anything wise. It was always about the smartest kid was the one that the parents were more happier. Like, it was more about schools and intelligence. So I always valued that more. That was how I was like, I would show more love for being smart than for being good looking. So I would like that. But at the same time, I would also, almost kind of like in a fantasy world, I would like to have the feeling of like, I wonder what that would feel like when the beauty part is like so overwhelmingly more.
That's
right?
What you always
like,
get.
Exactly. Like, I've never experienced that, like, where it's like, oh my God. Like, I've seen other people, and it's so weird when people like, when I see other people get that. Guys specifically, because it's like I'm not looking at guys like, no, I'm not. I'm guys. Let me be.
I see you. No, please. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah,
I know a few guys that like people are just like, yo, like of course girls like no guys are coming to tell me this, but like are just so. And I'm just like
enamored by their just physical attributes.
And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that was a thing, and it's just weird to me. Like, I know it's a thing for like movie stars and stuff, but like regular ass people, that I'm just
that's a thing,
oh, like I didn't know. So then I started looking at like, so like, what is this beauty? That. So it's weird.
I love that you just said that though. I like the
I'm always honest, man. It's true. It's true.
For me, I think it's actually interesting that you presented the whole thing about your family and how you've been raised, because for me, I think it was like equal in my house. It was like, as much as my report cards better look straight, it's like you better look good when you're going to the party with me. Like my mom was always like, I'm not about to go looking like this and then you're gonna look like raggedy behind me. Like she's the type to always comment, as much as she'll comment about how's school going, how's work. Oh, okay, I see that your nails aren't looking great. Like, are you gonna get that fixed? So I don't think for me one was really outweighing the other in my family. They were both, I don't know if maybe for the better or worse, pretty important or like held in high regard. So my feelings about it are coming solely from myself and what I value in myself. And I think I do prefer to be seen as smart than attractive. But going off of what you said a little bit, I think it's because I don't think I've ever struggled to get the attractive thing because I'm tall, skinny, like whatever. Conventionally, yeah. So when it comes to intelligence, though, like I feel like I have to prove something a little bit more. So for somebody to recognize that in me, I'm like, okay, cool. I've proven what I needed to prove.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I think that that's definitely a factor, right? Yeah. Like it's a factor of what you feel like people kind of see first, or how people view you, and a lot of things go into that, right? Some people, just because of your gender, they're gonna look at you differently because of like your height. I'm not 6 foot tall, so nobody. That's why it's all about height. But like, not really.
No, but I agree with that because some guys,
matter,
even if they're not that attractive because they're above 6 foot, people are like,
don't even get me started. Don't get me started on all these tall guys. That's people. I'm like,
the catfishing people out here. Like his height really like. I think for every inch above 6 foot, like they get like a notch of attraction for no reason.
Exponential, right?
Exponential
attraction.
But I think the conclusion here for this little segment is that like I feel like whatever you don't have or like struggle to get a little bit more, I think is maybe what you look for more. Because I will say what I just said was more about my adult life. I know I feel like I was the ugly duckling as a kid, or like it took me a while to grow into myself. So I loved hearing, oh my God, you're such a cute girl or whatever. Like as a kid, like I don't care about being smart. Like I do not care about that. Probably like through like middle school, high school, like I did not care about being smart. I cared about looking good. But then eventually at some point, I feel like that definitely switched for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. And I think you are right. It's based on kind of what you've experienced and what you get more, you're going to want a little bit more of the other thing if you get one more than the other.
Yeah.
I want to ask like a final question before we move off of this. I kind of mentioned like my family's influence, and you kind of talked about that as well. Do you think that African society, African culture values one over the other? Or do you think it's the same as like Western culture where it's like beauty over brains?
I think it's very, very similar, like almost on par, but I think intelligence has a little bit of a notch in like African, like Eastern cultures. I mainly say that because of like things like, oh, we all have to be lawyers, like we all have, like they don't, like being a model, being an actor, that those aren't highly valued in our society, in our African society. Like, but I think that a lot has to do with like stability, financial stability and whatnot, and not necessarily the fact that the person is like intelligent. It's about the job they can get based off of like a perceived intelligence level. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And I think that's true. I would say like I agree with that generally speaking, but I also think that it's a lot more. I don't know if it is more, but I think that when I think of African culture or society, I think it's very tilted towards gender. Whereas I feel like for women, the beauty is kind of, not that it's more important than brains necessarily, but like beauty is ticked higher for women.
Because that's what will get you a man. Like you don't have to be smart to get a man.
It's more important for you to like be beautiful. And like that's more value. Whereas for a man, it's more about intelligence because like you said, it comes down to earning, right? Like your financial stability and all that stuff kind of gets tied back to your intelligence ultimately, which is not necessarily true, but that's the so easiest correlation.
I will say that.
So I do think that in African culture, a lot of times for men, it's like be smart. Like the smart man is better than, you know. Whereas
I guess by saying the fact that it is more about financial stability, where I was going with that is that I feel like they don't care if you're smart. They'll beat the smartness into you. Like they'll make sure you're smart. They'll make sure like you might not have a proclivity towards like sciences, but they're like, you're gonna figure it out and you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? They don't care if you're smart enough. They're just like, you need to get whatever grades you need to get to. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I think to your point though, I think beauty is very valued because of the things it brings you in life. For females especially, like the male counterparts, like you have to make sure you're a certain way and you like, you know, you look good, you present yourself nicely at all times, blah blah. I don't know.
It is. It's very interesting.
I think it's a little bit more dicey in in African cultures.
What dicey?
Not dicey in a bad way. More like it's I don't think there's as much of a conclusion that I can make.
Yeah, no, I think that to me, I would say the conclusion is the same. It's just there is maybe some more. I would say maybe more nuance, but I would say it's the same. Like they feel the same way generally speaking. So beauty versus brains. I think we're leaning towards brains, but we obviously want beauty, right? All right. Shall we shout out some people?
Let us shout out not even people. Let me shout out a month. I mentioned at the top that this is Black History Month.
It is.
And it has come to a close as of today, or it will be coming to a close
by the time you hear this, right?
Yeah, this is over. So shout out to a pretty decent Black History Month in comparison to some of these past few years. As always, keep our Black people in mind. when you shop, when you live your life, make sure our Black brethrens are doing well. And also shout out to Bobby Shmurda, because you also mentioned that.
Yeah, he's back home. Shout out to him, and hopefully he can stay out of trouble and all that good stuff. Yeah, I was going to shout out, let me see, I have some shout outs actually.
Okay.
We're going to shout out the Prince and Meghan Markle. That's her name?
Yeah, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle.
Yeah, they're expecting a second baby.
Duke and Duchess.
All right. So shout out to them. Hopefully they, deliver their baby healthy and safe and all that good stuff. Who else? I was going to shout out Davido. Davido now has 2 gold singles in the United States.
Nice.
So If and Fall are both gold. I believe he's the first
Afrobeat artist.
One of them was gold. One of them became gold like maybe last week or something like that, or 2 weeks ago. So
I thought
shout out to him.
Both, but cool.
Yeah, and then shout out to all the winners of the Headies. Headies Awards happened last weekend, I believe.
Yep.
Fireboy was basically the big winner. He got like 4 or 5 awards.
Lit.
I think he tied the record for, and it was well deserved. He got like Album of the Year. That's the only one I didn't know if he deserved. But he got Album of the Year. He got R&B Album of the Year, R&B Single of the Year,
R&B like
Artist of the Year.
Wiz in that category?
Huh?
Wiz was on that. Right?
Funny enough, Wizkid wasn't in that category.
Or is it like one of those weird year cutoffs, whatever?
Maybe that's why, but he wasn't in that category. Wizkid won Artist of the Year. Burna Boy was in it. I would definitely pick the Burna Boy album over Fireboy, but it's okay. Shout out to Fireboy. Shout out to everyone that won. A lot of people won. And yeah, that's it. Shout out to everyone listening to this episode. We appreciate it. Share it, like it, comments, all that good stuff, and see you next week.
Bye.